20 degrees. It's cold. Help me, Mr. Propane Canister. You're my only hope. Anyway. Don't pay too much attention to this kind of rigmarole that I did, but working on center U-joint shaft. Meow. Trying to make it so that full articulation's, you know, somewhat decent for the angles. I don't know. You don't want to go too high because then everything gets like wonky, just really way high. You don't want to go too low because then I'll hit this bar over here. But I mean, maybe I'll cut that bar out, but also the motors are going to need some articulation and reinforcement, so I'm not quite sure I want to do that. So we'll see. I'm going to try to get that U-joint welded in now, so at least I have that, so the base and the seat are stuck together. So let's work on that. This has been a pain in my ass. I'm going to start off with, I am not a fabricator, and again, I can fuse metal together, but yeah, pardon everything's all messy. So I've got motors mounted, welded in onto this box frame here. Pardon this is gonna be for the dowel locators. Alright, so potentiometer sticks inside there. Come on, you can do it. Got myself a little bit of wiggle room. I made this a smaller rod in case I want to bend it some more. So I got a little bit of leeway on. You can focus. There you go. So when the arm articulates, that potentiometer should spin with it. Come on, you can focus. And then I cut and welded these sway bar brackets, mounted them onto the bottom. I wanted it relatively close to the pivot point to get more actuation. I didn't want to make this arm too terribly long and it starts hitting stuff. But rest of the chassis together. Put some pedal brackets on, handbrake mount, shifter mount, and I think next up is paint it and bring it into the house and see if I can start getting stuff moving on their own. Holy smokes, it works. So I don't remember where I left off last video. I ran out of batteries, so oopsies. Spray painted everything black, brought it inside. Still a little unfinished. It's okay. Arduino set up, so I got everything in working correctly. Both the power bricks are wired up, heat shrinked, and blah 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 blah. This was kind of a pain in the butt. You have to get this lined up and put in snug so that it's level. Note the levels that have since fallen off. And then kind of try to tighten everything else down this way. Now, it is nice that I use these rods so that you can just zip tie the wires out of the way. And this thing actually has way more articulation than I had originally thought would happen. I wanted the lever arm longer so that it would give more force, thinking that longer lever, more leverage, as opposed to having it close here and having to, or nope, other way around. I wanted it longer for more articulation because I want like 90 degrees motion or some crap like that. So I don't know if I need to make it longer or shorter just quite yet. I think I'll need to get everything loaded up and test it with full weight. And then here's my janky setup here for helping the drive shaft not wobble front to back. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it works for the most part. I'm still trying to go 3 DOF on this one, so I'm probably going to have to do some more triangulations, but motors kind of got in the way, I guess I could tie to that front one and make a back one, but I'm trying to keep costs low, especially for the metal. So far I've spent probably $150 just in metal. I got the software loaded up here. Is the Sim Toolsy type thingies there. It's a pretty involved process, but if you take these sliders and you move them around, it moves. Check that out. So that's roll, and this is what I've artificially set max low. That's max high. And you can hear one of these motors is fighting because there's a little bit of slack in the holes that I drilled for these things, and so this arm jangles around a little bit, so I'm probably going to make some spacers to kind of shim this around so it's a little bit better. I like to film these at 6 o'clock in the morning for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, so updates. haven't videoed much, but I got everything inside, and everything is bolted up, and I mean still in the building and processing phase. Got all of these power bricks mounted up. Arduino seems to be working, code's good. I burned out one of these motor drivers, so this knob right here changes your voltage. So I set it right for 24, and I guess one time when I went to go mess with some stuff, I turned it up to 28 and didn't notice and fried one of these drivers. For people who don't know electronic-y type things, Arduino runs off USB power, and it's mainly like, I think it's a 5 volt connection, and so you can even see on one of my labels it says 5 volts. So the Arduino runs on 5 volts, which isn't strong enough to run these wheelchair motors. So you get these duders, and like the last video I called them a relay, and it's really not the right word for it. It's a motor driver, but it feeds in the 24 volts, and then you get a signal, and then it feeds out the appropriate amount of the 25 volts to run the motors. It's a pretty basic system, not too expensive. These things do get pretty freaking hot. And then I did some testing on Sim Tools, still trying to figure it out. You know, I just still need to clean up a bunch of stuff. I've actually taken off, those used to be the pedal rumblers and the wind simulators, which I eventually want to put the wind simulators back on, but I don't think I missed the pedal rumblers. But I did manage to put back on my, let's see if we can see those things, the seat shakers. Wait, there they are. Those duders, because those things are fun. I can reach. Bang. So at first I had this pretty far up because I wanted as much movement as possible. But the motors didn't like that, so I had to move this back, and so this is at a better angle at a standstill, but when it gets higher the angles start looking off. So I'm probably going to have to do something here, but I don't want to break all of this stuff back down and take it all the way back outside to weld it, and I'm also pretty sure my wife will be unhappy with me if I'm welding inside. Let me try that one more time. And so it kind of moves with the curves. Not too bad. So I've tried hopping in game, and I can kind of get the settings working, but not so much the game working. So that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Got Sim Tools installed, and it looks like Sim Tools works perfectly fine, but it's not. In game it's not working, so that's what I'm thinking about this morning. Hey, look, another 5 a.m. update. This is annoying. Got everything done, got everything mounted up, I mean, obviously things are still pretty disheveled because I'm setting things up, but I blew out another motor driver last night, just kind of playing with things. And the conclusion I came to is that the distance between the U-joint and where the actuators are is too short. Like, the motor has to put too much force into it, has to make too many corrections, and it's just the motor driver can't keep up with it. I shortened the arm to give it a little bit less force because the lever was too long. And then I realized that the angles for this pivot point were all wrong. So instead of taking all this back out and all sorts of stuff, I just kind of made a little drop just to see if it would work. And in the process, I also took the base back out and re-welded it. You can actually see that I had to grind and re-weld to push the motor a little bit farther forward to help out with the leverage, but it only really moved maybe an inch to forwards. I didn't really help much. I did revise the way that these pots are mounted. So it used to be the other way around where the washer was on the bottom. This lets me get to the nut on top so I can adjust it. So it's really important to be able to like pop this out a little bit and then rotate the potentiometer and put it back in so I can find where center is. Center is very important because that winds up being the balance point of where you sit inside the chair. So that's key and paramount. So this is a learning process. It seems like I got everything else working. I got stuff figured out. The testing works okay. I finally got it working in game. But it just nothing's lining up. Nothing's working seamlessly. So I think what I'm gonna do now is, unfortunately, I have to disassemble everything, take it back out to the garage and start cutting and welding. But I will say, compared to my other setup, which was at a desk, this is much more ergonomic. It definitely feels like a real car. I prop myself up like I do in a real car. I also did realize I took measurements off of my real car, and I realized that the steering wheel is really far away from me, and compared to when I was on a desk, I liked the wheel closer. So maybe when I re-weld this stuff, I'll re-weld the wheel a little bit closer, and maybe I'll find a way of making my real car mimic the same thing. So this is cool. You know, I'm learning something that I can apply to my real car. Anyway, let's see what else we can do with this. I'm gonna do some vlogging. Hi.
Hey, what up, YouTube? This is Yoshi here, and we're here at the track to do some testing. Car's all set to go.
Oh shit.
And yeah, we're gonna roast some fucking tires. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know, it helps with the algo.
You call it an algo?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what they call it? I don't know shit.
I don't know. I heard it on another vlog.
Is that what someone else said? Say hi, Aziz.
Hey, what's going on?
Say hi to YouTube.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Yoshi. This is my Pro-Am build. Starting out this channel, I thought I would share our experience with you guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and all right, bye.
Patreon, I got a Patreon.
Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my Patreon. And also, I have an Assetto Corsa. Oh, yeah, we have me, Yoshi. I have an Assetto Corsa I made, and you need to get on it because it's the jam.
Jump on it.
Yep.
So what are you doing, Aziz?
I'm just doing stuff I should have done a while ago. Should have bought Fanatec is what you should have done. The flex disc is pulverized.
Alright, so my truck's in the shop, so I rented a U-Haul, which is kind of expensive. And then thought everything was hunky-dory. Of course I forgot to close my expansion cap, but then the radiator sprung a leak, and so we're doing the old JB Baldo, see if that'll work. We'll find out. I'm always prepared. I know, right? Recording. So anyway, purpose of today is supposed to be, well, one for me, it's kind of a test and tune day, but also we're working on alternate layouts for maybe hot laps. We have a couple of ideas, maybe use some pistol grip stuff and whatnot. I'm a dumbass and forgot my GoPro. See if we can grab some GoPro footage later.
Yeah. So now that you're seeing it, you think people...
But we'll see what we can do.
It's so bright. So let's hopefully the JB weld sets and then we can go from there. Maybe. It's turning out to be a really good day. Not.
So the JB weld didn't quite sit well. Yeah. So it's weeping. Did a couple laps. Nothing too crazy. There's snow and ice places, so I didn't want to risk it. But aside from a little bit of rubbish from having the wrong size wheels on the front, it's working pretty good. The car feels fine. Shocks are shock absorbing. I hate the sway bar setup, but I think I'll deal with that later. So next step is that bullshit.
There we go. Say hi, Patrick. What are we doing, Patrick?
Drifting. What else?
Well, you and I aren't drifting.
Well, yeah.
We're gonna see if we can get some cool video. If I can't drift, I might as well get some cool video, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what we got.
Well, back home. Definitely looks like a milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. So, probably looking for a replacement factory core support. I want to put that back out. Thinking about getting a triple pass CSF. Re-weld back in the brackets because in my last rack I ripped them out. So they do sell them $7 per side, so that's going to be pretty cool. So put all this back to stock. Partly will actually weigh less than all the crap that I welded in. Everything should fit at factory. I'm going to try to reuse these fans, and hopefully that's it. I managed a couple laps. The car felt pretty good. There's a couple nagging things to button up, but definitely good. Which, by the way, that's one of my favorite mods. But in the meantime, gonna work on this. As you can see, I've swapped it around. So the motors used to be on the front, so I'm gonna put the motors on the back. I really just took it off the U-joint and flopped it around. And I ran an actual calculator. I'll see about putting the calculations I have up on screen or in the bottom or something like that. And really, I think I was just overworking the motors. So the fix to that is to move the motors farther back. Gonna weld something onto the back of the seat so that they go up on farther up, which should give it a better angle and take a lot of the stress off the motors, so I stop burning out the drivers. But who knows? The internet says things. I shall try them. We shall see.
It works. It works. I'm actually really surprised it works. I don't know why, but anyway, take a look.
So as usual, it's an absolute mess because I was debugging and had to do a million things. Put this crossbar in the back. Supposed to be level. But what I found out was when I redid all of the calculations is that the distance between here and the pivot point of the chair is what gives you all of your angle. So I saw a bunch of people do theirs this way, and then I saw a couple of people do it where the attachment's up front or around the back, like to a platform. And it turns out doing it at the platform level is inefficient. It's all about distances and hypotenuses and all this crap, because really even at rest, the angle of here, your lever to your link point is supposed to be 90 degrees to give you maximum leverage. I actually drilled it one hole farther back to 2.5 inches as opposed to 3. There's a whole SimTools thing on how to do that. And then I keep blowing these guys out. So what I found out was I've got a noisy potentiometer on the other side, and that's likely because my wiring has the sensor wires and stuff running through or around the power, so it's causing a lot of interference. It's making the signal jittery, and that means that that is trying to make a ton of corrections back and forth, and it just kind of never, that side never settles. So really what I need to do is redo all that wiring. It's since I've moved the motors from that main area several times, the wires are not reaching as far away, and so I've been doing less and less ideal things. So I need to redo all that wiring completely. Everything's just set up temporarily so I can get it running. General notes, it works. When you do these calculations, you'll see like, oh, it'll be 5 degrees of motion or 7 degrees of motion. And you're like, well, that's nothing. I want like 90 degrees. No, in game, I think 5 degrees is freaking, I feel like I'm gonna fall out of the seat. The number of degrees didn't really seem to matter. Something about 5, less than 10. 10 seemed extreme. I've actually wound up turning down a bunch of it, so it really doesn't seem like you need a huge amount of movement. It was enough that I'm a very motion sick person, and getting used to the VR took me forever. And I do feel a little bit of motion sickness with the VR doing this, so that has brought that back. It's made me completely relearn how to drive. I'll put some B-roll in, and it's definitely harder to drive than it was before. I think now that I'm getting the feedback, I'm trying to work with it. There's probably a lot more setup I need to do in sim tools to get all of the feedback that I want. I'm still in the tuning phases of that, but I can tell when I'm being hit, or if I brake subtly. I didn't realize the handbrake on Tando Buddy's cars were so good, it pitches it forward pretty hard. So far this does not feel worth it. One of the major drawbacks from my previous setup was I used to be able to just click a button and then start driving. This I have to get into the seat. I needed to turn on the seat motors because I'm an idiot and don't have them on a switch just yet. But like, you have to turn on the system before you get in. If you leave it running all the time, the motors are constantly running, and it's just not a good thing to leave them. Especially that noisy one. It'll burn out the driver again if I just let it sit. And you can see over there, I've got a fan on those drivers to keep them cool. That it is necessary, very necessary. But it also takes up a huge amount of space. Like, this is my general setup, and there's not a lot of space. So fitting all this stuff in here with the ability to move the seat around is not optimal. So I mean, I thought the same thing about the Fanatec load cell pedals. At first I was like, this is not worth the extra money that I paid for it. And now I feel like it's absolutely worth the money. But I'm going to try to tune this a little bit more, see if I can get it working a little bit more for my needs. Yeah, I have the VR, so the dashboard might not be necessary. I could probably save some space by removing the dashboard, but it's definitely something. It adds a whole other level of hassle to go and sit and play the game. Like when you're going, you gotta set up, you gotta go over, I gotta get my wireless keyboard so I can recenter the Oculus. I can't just get in and drive. It does feel different. It doesn't feel like a real car. Obviously I wasn't expecting it to be like one-to-one. I was expecting a little bit more out of the motion, and that's kind of where I'm a little bit let down. It feels like an amusement park ride more so than adding something to the simulator. So I think I still need to play with this. It's inconclusive. I just barely got it working. I need to refine the setup a little bit more. I think it's getting there. It's kind of exciting that I was able to build this with no real knowledge of any of this. But whether or not it's worth it right now, for me, it's still a no. If I went back in time, it's like, should I do this right now? It would be a no. But I think think I need to give it a fair share before I consider it not worth it. So anyway, if anybody's got information on how to make this better, or you know, maybe some sim tools set up to make it a little bit more immersive, let me know. Otherwise, I think I'm going to try to clean up the wiring and try to make this setup a little bit more permanent. But thanks for watching. I'll put out a video 2 more weeks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for everything. Every view just makes me happy. Thanks. Talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.